Well, now moving to this story, Minister of Electricity Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa is currently briefing the media. The briefing comes at a time when South Africans face stage 3 load shedding. The power utility says this is due to the loss of generation capacity. Let us listen.
We were able to liquidate both as Eskom and as a country, because it's going to stunt the potential for growth in the country. Is going to undermine the key aspects of the growth story that the President had articulated during the occasion of the State of the Nation address. And of course, it's got huge implications in relation to, as I say, economic performance, and also the degree to which we are able to replenish the National Revenue Fund and be able to finance a number of initiatives broadening the flow of the social wage, ensuring that we are able to accelerate the infrastructure development in the country, because if the economy is not growing, you are unlikely going to broaden the revenue streams of the country. So I really want to say that exceptionally disappointed about the events that have happened. Of course, I come to you in the past 30 days or so. The 1st of February, we came in on the back of, again, some failures at the Tabo and Matimba, and we had to say that we're going to initiate the stages of load shedding, and then we came back again around the 20th, 23rd of 22nd of February again, to say on the back of the events that happened at Majuba and Camden, we had to initiate the load shedding. And we are coming back to you almost a fortnight later to convey again the kind of progress we are making in addressing the most recent setback. So if you had to ask me, this is one press conference I really don't want to have, because we are explaining why there's load shedding. As I said before, there shouldn't be load shedding in the first instance. We really want to have a conversation around how we are confident about our ability to ensure that we eliminate load shedding once and for all. But we do have an obligation, like we have said before, for us to be transparent in the manner in which we are communicating the state of the grid. We are able to ensure that there's elevated levels of accountability from the highest echelons, and of course it starts with me as a Minister of Energy and Electricity. I want to make the general observations, and then we'll then share with you where we at, because when Eskom issued the power alert, it did make the point that on account of the challenges we have had at the Koeberg Unit number 2, the challenges that we have had in relation to the 2 units at the Kusile, unfortunately we had to initiate load shedding because we needed to protect and replenish our reserves. So we'll give you an account of where we are in megawatt terms. What are those the power stations or the units that have gone out? How far are we in relation to our own commitment and the level of ambition that we have set to ourselves during this window? We have made the point that we are confident that come Monday we should be in a position to get out of this current bout of load shedding. So we'll give you an account of where we are at, and also confirm that indeed we are still on that track. And I think at an aggregate level, I want to make the following point, is that although we are still continuing to move in the right direction, if you had to do a longitudinal study where we started, an analysis rather, where we started in 2023 at the peak of load shedding, the intensity of planned maintenance on the back of the support that we have received from National Treasury, the trend line, the aggregate trend line is still going in the right direction. But I think the 3 episodes that we have had, the 1st of February, the 22nd of February, and now this 5th, 6th of March, have not helped to ensure that we remain on that course. So it's a significant setback, and that setback is immense. It's immense because it erodes the public confidence in our ability to finally resolve load shedding. It is immense because it disrupts the lives of ordinary people. It is immense because it also erodes if you like, market confidence on our ability to ensure that we resolve load shedding. Although we do characterize it as a setback, and you will see that the degree to which we are able to go into that load shedding and come back quicker, I think just confirms the fact that we're getting this right, we are moving in the right direction. But what it does is that on aggregate terms from the unplanned capacity loss factor, is that during this period, I think the past 3 weeks or so, we have seen that we have battled to remain below 14,000 megawatts. And in fact, during that period of stage 6 load shedding, we are going even much closer to 17,000 megawatts, which is what we had experienced during the intensity of load shedding. Of course, we are able to bring the units quicker. Of course, there's planned maintenance that has been aggressive. As we go into the winter period, it's going to taper down. We'll announce the winter outlook, I think, in the next 2 to 3 weeks, so it's a separate conversation. And they will give you the confidence that we have in relation to us navigating ourselves through a difficult period of winter, because at that time we'll be having additional generation capacity coming from Kusile Unit number 6, additional generating capacity coming from Medupi Unit number 4. But what this period, this window for the past 4 weeks suggests that if we are complacent, we are likely going to regress to the levels that we have seen during the intensity of load shedding. And it is our intention to ensure that we don't even get to those levels. If you look at our summer outlook, very confident about the projections, and of course the past 4 weeks have not kept up to the promise that we have made. So we're the first one to acknowledge that we have not necessarily kept up to the promise that we have made to the country, and hence we had to initiate the load shedding. And I want to say to the country that on account of these occurrences, these setbacks, what it has done is to ensure that it catalyzes an even deeper conversation amongst us as the leadership of government in the form of the minister, the leadership of the board led by Dr. Mteto, and the management led by the Group CEO, Mr. Marokani, on what are those areas where we think that we have regressed. So clearly, the fact that we are experiencing load shedding, there are areas that we have identified ourselves where we have regressed, and I'm sure at the right time, the Group CEO will make those interventions and will make them public on the kind of actions we are taking to ensure that there is no regression, and if anything, we maintain the trend line, the positive trend line that we have built over a period of time. Because there's so many setbacks that we can accommodate. This is a third setback in a period of about 30 days, totally unacceptable. Unacceptable because we're on a good run. Like I said, we at the peak of this run, we're experiencing unplanned capacity loss factor of about 8,500 megawatts. In fact, oscillating between 8,500 and 11,000 megawatts. And now we are breaching the 14,000 megawatts. So it's an illustration of something that has gone wrong. And ourselves as a collective have begun to identify that, but it requires a much more robust and honest conversation amongst ourselves as a leadership core to ensure that that which has been working, we maintain it. Areas that requires improvement, we are able to improve on. Where we have regressed, we need to ensure that we decisively deal with those areas so that it doesn't undermine, if you like, our overall quest to ensure that finally we are able to end load shedding. And of course, as communicated before, we are still on the communication, the alert that Eskom has issued to say that by Monday we are getting out of this recent bout of load shedding. But really to give you confidence on where we at, the megawatts, and how we are performing against the promise of retaining those units, I'm going to defer to Mr. Marokani, who's going to take us through a bit more detail on some of the progress that we have made in relation to retaining this megawatt. So then.
Thank you, Minister. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just to reiterate that the space that we're in is one that we don't like ourselves. We have undertaken to the country that When we stay below 13,000 megawatts of unplanned capacity losses, we should have a comfortable summer. When we met over the last 2 weeks, we indicated that we're continuing and in the middle of our intense maintenance execution. I can indicate that we are still on that path. We'll see that path starting to taper as we go into the end of March and April, as we get back to the winter period. The one issue that, of course, now requires our urgent attention is the clinical finish in the execution of the maintenance, in a sense that as we return units back from maintenance, they need to essentially come in and stay online. What we have seen in the last week, which is essentially trying to explain what transpired and led to the events of yesterday, is that whilst we had done the maintenance, a number of units slipped in terms of their due dates for returning from outages. And we saw slippages in the order of about 1,500 megawatts that are adding to the unavailability, unplanned availability. And when that happens and you have a combination of big units that have challenges, Koeberg is one of those that's been off for a week now, and you had a suboptimal coaling activities due to the intense weather in the vicinity of Kusile, as we saw Thursday evening into Friday. You have no room to respond. It is on the back of this that our attention is really shifting towards getting back the tight discipline of executing our maintenance and getting the return and reliability of the units from maintenance window to be such that we do not have this massive slippages adding pain to us. We've seen the unplanned capability loss factor rising from around 15,000 in the middle of the week, and yesterday running all the way to 18,000. This is what triggered the stage 3 load shedding in the middle of yesterday. What have we done since then? Since then, we've returned 3,200 megawatts by this morning. So quite a number of units came back, including those 2 Kusile units were back by last night at 10 p.m. And this morning, further units came through to give us that reduction in the unplanned losses. We're now sitting at about 4,500. Tomorrow we expect some 750 megawatts of capacity to come back, and the remaining 2,800 by Monday morning. This will include the return on Koeberg Unit 2 that's been on breakdown since last week Sunday for one reason, and subsequent to the resolution of that reason, we have encountered 2 separate challenges in the run-up to it, which are now getting attention. The last one getting attention as we speak, and we should be having that unit planned for return on Monday morning. Going forward, as I said, the intensity of maintenance tapers towards the end of March into April. We should have no associated unavailability due to slippages, so we should be eradicating a lot of those slippages and having much more availability of our fleet. And this will require some sharpening of our execution capabilities and shaping up and supporting our management teams at the various sites a little bit more to navigate the complexities that we are dealing with at the moment. Where are we headed to? Our plan is to finish the maintenance as outlined earlier, to get value out of it, with ensuring that slippages do not occur and the plants are available. The second part, our focus remains on bringing new capacity. We have indicated that Kusile Unit 6 is going through its last stages of commissioning, and we expect it to be synchronized to the grid by the middle of March, around the 18th. And we should, at the end of March and April, have the Medupi unit also, Unit 4, also synchronized. It is the combination of this maintained units or units coming out of maintenance and the new capacity that will essentially form the backbone of our entry into the winter period and the winter period plan, which we'll announce at the end of March once we've gone through this window. As indicated, our focus this weekend is to recover reserves. We had to rely on our reserves this past week as the unplanned losses were slightly higher. We've had to rely on our reserves, and they've carried us quite well. As we speak, the dams levels are improving, and we should be there more or less by tonight, early hours of the morning with the dams. We have switched off the diesel generators in Cape Town, in Ankerleg in particular, to allow the recovery of the fuel tanks in that space. And tomorrow morning we should be entering what we regard as safer zones and in the build-up for the evening. So we'll assess the situation again tonight on how we're progressing. The key part is to keep the units that are running online and continuing with the management of our reserves in preparation for the new week. Chair, Minister, I'll stop here, and perhaps we may go into deeper questions after this presentation for the specifics. So thank you very much.